Mike's here. So I'm going to ask my panelists to come and join me. Where are you guys? Yes, here, come on up. So, I always like to finish off. Here we go. Oh, we got photos.
Oscar?
Yes.
We requested beard up.
I think that was coming. Hopefully it's coming.
Even better.
Hopefully you got. Well, I think.
No.
We have.
You got me.
Don't worry.
You got this too.
We got this. Yeah, cool.
Elspeth, thank you. I know I can count on you.
She's got a sort of bit of class. So, for those of you who don't know, whenever I get involved in the indie pitch, indie track, I try to make sure that we end with an entertaining kind of light-hearted look at the industry, but also hopefully get something useful across. So, I've started to try and do sort of more game show themed end panels. So that's what this is about, and you'll see our stars here. What we're going to do is look at pitching. We've all had to do it. We've all had to experience it.
Peter, you've not done this with us before.
What's that, sorry?
No, I'm a virgin.
Yeah, I can't use the podium, so I'm going to move the board. Actually, what I might do is bring that further forward.
Not flattering ones. No.
There we go. Good. So, the plan is this. These wonderful three gentlemen are going to help me explore the world of pitching by sharing with us their worst ever pitch, the best pitch they've ever experienced, and the funniest pitch they've experienced. And I'm going to ask you guys to help me work out who wins. And
oh, good Lord.
We'll see how it goes from there. So, hopefully...
We're about to violate our NDA.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yes, sorry.
You're here.
Hang on a minute. I need to get on this. Yeah.
Pass it around.
Pass it around. Yeah, exactly. There were some beers. We're supposed to be bringing beers in, so, anyway, let's get me in the right mood so we're warmed up for it. So let's start off.
Thanks for
Peter,
sticking around, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for sticking. Peter, could you just, after sipping, yeah. Peter, could you please share with us who you are and what you have done in the past and what you do now?
Sure. My name's Peter Allow. I've been in the industry for about 25 years now, and at one point I was the gatekeeper for Sony. So if you made a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 game, you got through me somewhere along the line. And that gave me tons of war stories of really, really bad games to see. Since then, I've worked for EA, Crytek, Linden Lab, Portable, and a few other small companies.
Maxis.
Maxis, I started there. But I've
blocked that from your memory, didn't you?
You know what? I started there. That's the issue. So
I love A-Train, by the way, still.
It's one of my favorite games still. So,
Mike.
Hi. I've been alive for about 25 years. Okay, actually, maybe just a little bit longer than that. But I've done 2 financial services startups. I've done 2 software startups. I've worked for Microsoft for a while. I work for Amazon now. And at Amazon, I actually get all kinds of pitches from Amazon, and it's a lot of fun. People come and pitch me with videos. They ask me to feature their games in our app store. They'll catch me in between meetings and try out their elevator pitch. They want me to vote for their games in game competitions. They want me to commit Amazon to being business partners of theirs because they've got something amazing that Amazon absolutely has to partner with them for. I get all kinds of pitches.
How could you possibly understand my genius?
And the fact that we had to turn you down wasn't personal.
Paul, could you introduce yourself as well, please?
Probably repeat, totally relate to what Mike just said.
Oh, is it Mike? Yeah,
There you go. Okay.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, I could completely relate. I've been with Samsung for, I guess, a little over 7 years now. I can't remember anything beyond that. But actually, I worked for companies like Yahoo. I was a search product manager, Experian, on freecreditreport.com. Wow. But past a little over 3 years now, just focusing on VR. Yeah.
So
interesting.
one thing we should set out is that any names mentioned in this are under what we call in the UK Charterhouse rules. That means if anyone says anything inappropriate, you can talk about it but not name names and not say who said it. Okay, so don't tweet out who said it or who it was about, and we'll all be fine. So under that veil of security,
Legally binding, of course.
completely legally binding.
Paul and I really like our jobs. We like
By the way, if they change the name to protect the innocent, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. But we're going to
Turn off
start
the phone,
off
please.
which I think we probably should start off with the worst. So who wants to start? Peter, could you suggest the worst pitch you've ever had? Or do you
Okay,
want to?
actually, I've got two. One of them is short, pardon the pun, when you understand how short it is.
Oh, okay.
Sony was probably the first console that started to get the attention of celebrities since they started pushing towards consumer marketing. And one of the celebrities, God rest his soul, sent us a one-page pitch document for a game that he was thinking about. And it was clear that he had played plenty of games and really liked the opening FMV. The one-page pitch was done in magic marker on ruled paper. 80% of it was the description of the ship descending through the clouds and the way the light went over it. And then it ended with, and then you start shooting stuff.
Fund it.
I'll buy that for
Yeah,
$1.
exactly.
Wait. Then you start shooting stuff.
Yes, shooting things, yes.
Non-specific things.
Do you know how many multi-million-dollar games have people shooting stuff? Come on, right?
So I guess it's been long enough, but anyway, that one was sent in by Gary Coleman.
Oh, wow.
Yes, who did end up working with Running with Scissors.
Wow.
Is
this before or after
to
the
Gary.
security guard?
He was the nicest guy. He really was.
Yeah.
He just didn't understand the game industry, and I think that's going to be a running theme of the not understanding. My favorite worst pitch ever is the one that I'm most proud of the company in general for rejecting it. We got the pitch 6 times. And it was done by Titus. They paid $2 million for this exceptionally good license, which they then proceeded to do absolutely nothing with. It ended up being launched only on the N64, got a 1.3 out of 10 on what was then the equivalent of Metacritic, and panned by everybody. It is still listed infamously in the top 10 worst video games of all time, and of course I'm talking about Superman. The pitch came to us directly ported from the N64 to the PlayStation, which is not the correct way to go technically. The way the rendering systems worked were the opposite. You should have started on the PlayStation and gone to the N64. It was completely uncontrollable. Superman fell through the floor often. They had fog everywhere in order to explain that there was some sort of kryptonite fog that he couldn't get through. And what they were really doing was hiding the fact that the far plane distance on the rendering system was about 3 feet. There's just nothing there.
Wow.
The control got in our hands, and he just couldn't turn, or he would turn like this and back like this, and then drop through the floor. And
That's a superpower.
We tried to explain that this isn't completely uncontrollable, and with a straight face, the producer said, "Well, that's because he's in kryptonite." The fog, the control is to enhance the fact that he's lost control of his abilities. And that's that moment where we all looked at each other like, who do you think you're kidding here? Rejection 2, okay, now he's not dropping through the floor. Rejection 3, oh, the frame rate has gone up from 10 FPS to 12 FPS. Rejection 5, you actually have a complete level. Rejection 6 was what I will call the last gasp. They came to us, and to the account manager's complete total credit, she kept a straight face when they asked, "Is there anything that you like about this title?" And she smiled and said, "The license." They ran out of money for the PlayStation version, which was very conveniently timed because we would have rejected them forever and ever. My proudest moment in the industry is making sure that that god-awful title never showed up on the platform.
And in that note, let's move on to Mike.
Well, actually, that steals just about every single theme I had, because you got it all rolled up into one amazingly hideous experience. Similarly, I do a lot of game judging, and probably one of the most trying 4 minutes I ever had, and it was at a very big indie pitch. Someone sat across from me, opened their laptop, and started showing me the PowerPoint for their game. The PowerPoint for your game. Yeah. The PowerPoint for our game. We don't actually have the code finished, but we do have the visualization and the concepts. Well, show me the non-finished game. Well, we actually don't have any code written, but we have these wonderful concepts and these visualizations. Okay, these visualizations, the art style for a platformer is kind of non-traditional. Well, these are just sketches, so you really don't have art. Well, we have concepts. So we proceeded to get a concept for a platformer where you would dodge enemies, go ahead and gather treasure on your way to successfully achieving the objective, which would be decided upon a large meeting of potential players and users. Yeah.
Remarkable. That's amazing.
Truly remarkable. Now, the nice thing is, this could have turned into any game on the market. So I am certain that when they obviously didn't even come close to winning the competition, they were just infuriated by how blind the judges must have been, because obviously this was Donkey Kong Reborn, or insert your favorite platformer here. That was probably one of the most awkward.
I've had a more awkward big indie pitch than that, but yeah.
Paul?
20% of the pitches that I hear are based on PowerPoints. Still,
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
Ouch.
Let's see. Well, I do have a very interesting story. I think our VP was trying to screw me over. So he got connected with one of the probably the biggest online porn operators at MWC, and I got introduced via email, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? It's like your app will never get published through Oculus. You realize that, right? But and I was trying to be nice, trying to find ways for him to make his content available one way. So I ended up helping, give him some tips, web might be a good way to go. And then he contacts me like 3 months later, and pretty serious. It's like, Paul, our users are complaining that they want to be able to, is there a way to move the horizon of the videos? Our users are watching our content laying down flat. And I'm looking at my email. I'm like just completely stunned. I'm like, what am I supposed to answer? And the funny thing is, there was a solution that I could provide. So I replied back, and obviously he was dead serious. I didn't. He even gave me a free login access.
Wow.
Which I've never tried.
Or
network security guy is Paul Kemp's what the hell is he doing? That's probably one of my worst.
That's
awkward.
Yeah. I nearly wanted to share my Gary Kasparov story, which was. All right, it's not games.
Share the Gary story.
It's not games, but it is Gary Kasparov, who I did hire to promote a chess service I launched on BT. Basically set up a meeting with me so he could sell me crystals that would help you avoid the radiation from mobile phones. Seriously. Gary Kasparov. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
And he had a really good collection in the tinfoil hat he was wearing.
Yeah.
I think we need to license that.
The funny thing is, it was so obvious he didn't even believe in it. Yeah, he was just looking for a way to make a quick buck because anyway, future Russian president maybe. So back to the plot. Let's get you guys to vote. We have Peter's classic Superman dodge, and we have Mike's big indie PowerPoint, and obviously Paul's porn extravaganza. So let's vote for Superman. Hands up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay, I can see both. The big indie PowerPoint. Oh, sorry, Mike.
Oh.
And the porn extravaganza. Oh, we could have it all close. I think I'm going to give it to Superman, but it's close. It's close. I almost want to give you the porn extravaganza. So, yeah, that's not working. Oh well, but that's kind of there. Right. So we have our first score. Next, we're going to move on to the. Should we go best? I think next. Yeah. Let's leave funniest till later. Now we're really, because obviously there's a serious part to this. No, there isn't. I'm lying. But let's pretend there's a serious part to this. We want to kind of learn some lessons about what great pitching is like. So I'm going to start again with you, Peter. The best pitch you ever saw.
Well, if there's a lesson that comes out of this, it's actually that good pitches don't necessarily turn into good games.
Ah, that's good.
But and it sounds a little self-serving, but I was working for Digital Extremes when we pitched and got the Star Trek title right in between the two Star Trek films. And we knew that we were going to be asked to show up to the Bad Robot offices, and sorry, I'll be dropping names here, and pitch directly to the producers. We also knew that there were 8 other companies that were doing the same pitch. So what we did is find out everybody in the room and what their latest success was and what their latest failure was, and when the last time they managed to get in kind of Hollywood press. So I actually combed through Variety to figure out whether these guys had their recent cachet bumped up because, hey, this is the Hollywood game and what your name is in the world matters. So we found exactly what everybody in the room's motivations were, what they needed in order to make themselves look good. And we also knew that none of the other teams doing the pitches were capable of developing a first playable level the way we were. So we dusted off a level from a previous game that we absolutely just tossed away. It was a terrible idea. And we reskinned it by stealing screenshots and building textures. Pretty much over 4 days, we just had 4 people burn through and build one workable level of Star Trek with the characters running around, shooting phasers, with Klingons beaming in and getting shot, and pretty much everything that was absolutely playable. And while the other teams showed up with PowerPoint presentations and sketches and artists and ideas and lists of previous successes that they worked on, we came in there and had an Xbox ready to put up on a HD TV, put a controller in their hands, and said, "Why don't you play this?" And before now we'd only been told that we were doing this pitch maybe 6 days previous. And in 4 days, we showed up at their offices with a first playable, gold disc in their hand. And after they were done looking and saying, "Oh my God, this is better than what I thought it was going to be," we then said, "Great, here's a disc for every one of you to give to all of your bosses and show on your Xboxes so that when you go back to them, you can show your first playable." So, short version, every one of these guys are now walking back to their offices with no due diligence in hand, with a first playable, and able to show that each one of their bosses, look what much of a badass I am. I've actually already got a game, and you were just sourcing it at this point. Yeah, of course we got the contract. It took almost 3 days for them to come back to us with a
whole 3 days?
Yeah.
Mike.
I really like that story. One of the things I like about how well you pitched that was you actually put the controller in their hands. One of the perennial worst pitches I see is of people telling me all about their game, showing me all about their game, and I'm reaching out trying to grab the controller or the tablet. And like, no, I'm not done explaining yet. It's like, really? I'm judging your game. I'm not judging your trailer. Come on. Anyway. The best pitch that I've heard was in the context of someone pitching to a publisher for investment. And I don't know if you guys know Mark Backler. He's got this really great game where you're reading a story, but the words in the story that you're reading become elements in the platformer game, and you need to manipulate the words, use the words to kind of get the character to exist the story into a completed level. Absolutely charming thing. What Mark did was he started with, hey, here's the game, here's what it looks like, and now while I explain the rest, you guys can start playing the game. And he handed out the game on tablets to, a fully functioning level to the publishers. And he went on to say, here are other games that are similar, here's why mine is different and unique, and here's a good way to pitch it. Here is my timeline of when I expect to be done with the game. Here are the individual work items I'm going to do during that time. Here's how much money I need. Here's what I need the money to do. And if you write me this amount of money, I will have this game done on that day. Would you like to publish it? Damn, that was good. And he got the money because, one, it was a really good-looking game. You know what I'll tell you why. Lots of people have good-looking games. He got the money because he convinced the publisher that he knew exactly what he was doing, and they had confidence that he would be able to actually get this done on time and on budget. And that means the world.
And he does know what he's doing.
You know Mark. Yeah, of course you know Mark.
Of course I know Mark. Yeah. Cool.
Well, in the spirit of supporting the indies, so recently I guess probably for the past 6 months I work with a lot of developers to get the GearVR controllers out to developers and make sure there's content available when the device went retail. I would say one of my favorite, the team that I worked on for the controller was Paint VR. So done by a couple of brothers in San Francisco. I think one of them still has a full-time job with Sephora. So they came to pitch their idea, basically, stupid, simple drawing app for using your VR. And I'm like, and these guys, they did have a running prototype. We didn't have the controller back then, but it was still drawing with your headset, moving the head around. But these guys were so young, and so, I don't know, naive, but they didn't know what they were asking, but they were just super passionate, like totally sweet guys. So I ended up giving a little bit of direction. Hey, look, we're going to be launching the controller pretty soon, but let's have you guys create like a version of Tilt Brush for Gear VR. But, don't try to meet the performance of Tilt Brush, but think of more like a Microsoft Paint for Gear VR. Simple, and considering the Gear VR devices are generally used by family, I think it's going to be a good hit. And they ended up basically doing everything what I asked them to do. Ended up getting a little bit of funding from us too. And the cool thing is that our marketing guys liked the experience so much that it got even featured in our commercial that's actually running, being airing in all of the movie theaters across America right now. And in the same TV or the commercial, it's a 60-second spot. I don't know if you've seen it, but it features experiences from Harmonix, which we know, very good team. Anybody from Harmonix here? SingSpace could use a bit of an improvement. I think it's got like 2.5 stars. But considering, I'm sure multiple six figures went into that budget into a SingSpace, and these scrappy guys from San Francisco launching this tiny little app, just really well in the store and converting well. And it just makes me feel good. Being able to support like super small indie.
Super small indies are always good. So let's put that to the vote. So we have Paul's super small indie doing this gorgeous painting thing. We have The Last Word from Mike. Oh, well, from Mark, but
yeah.
Mike's, and Peter's Star Trek extravaganza experience. So let's start off with voting for the painting app. Okay, voting for The Last Word. Okay, and voting for Star Trek. I think we have a winner. Woohoo! So now we are. Well, actually, yeah, this is starting to look like a one-horse race. So, we're going to get to second position here.
Game against me is sort of frowned upon. Just make sure that's good.
Just let you know, he did get us all drinks.
Yeah, more scotch needed. So this is the one to win them all. It's all to be played for. Winner takes all. The funniest pitch you've ever had, Peter.
Can you go back to Superman?
Yeah, I know. Superman was unintentionally funny. I can't go funny. I think the best I can do is weird.
That's fine. Weird's good.
There was this very strange woman who was like kind of a hardcore motorcyclist, and she was very fascinated with the Paris-Dakar races, and wanted to do a Paris-Dakar game, but had absolutely no experience in the game industry, and had absolutely no familiarity with what it took to make a game. But she was very, very French, and very, very tall and incredibly attractive, and managed to get her way into the Sony offices at some point or another. So we said, okay, fine, we'll take the pitch. And what she mostly did was bring bottles of champagne and talk about how wonderful these motorcycle races are, and that we should be making a game about them. And we were looking at it, I was like, so you didn't bring a company or anything, you just had this idea and thought you wanted to tell us about it? And in the middle of this, she pulls out champagne glasses, much like scotch glasses, I guess, but there wasn't a show associated with it other than her dancing around the room with bottles of champagne, pouring it into glasses for everybody, talking about Paris-Dakar. And at some point or another, we were thinking, do we call security? This is weird.
Champagne.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, thank you for your time. This has been great. And she said, well, that was wonderful. Are you going to pay me for my game idea? Yeah, thank you. It's lots of blinking. Like, well, we thank you for your time. And then one of the account managers was kind enough to escort her out, and we locked the door and told security, make sure she doesn't come back in. Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing. That's the weirdest one I've had.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Pretty weird.
So where's she now?
I would like someone to come and pour me champagne while they pitch something. That actually sounds like
we can do
not
that.
That'd be a pretty good idea. So again, I get mostly pitches from indies for games. Please feature my game. Please vote for my game in the competition. One of the pitches I got for a request to feature a game was from someone who had written a game with a really engaging mechanic where you would find in a grid of objects 3 things that were similar, and you could slide them over to match 3 of them. A match 3 game. Well, yeah, it is a match 3 game. Okay, so he finished his pitch about how you can do different kinds of matching 3s horizontally and vertically, and it was really going to be great. And I said, well, this is wonderful, but you realize there are thousands of match 3 games out there. What makes yours different? There was this long pause. My gems are blue.
Wow. Oh my God.
What do you say to that?
Oh my God.
What do you say to that? Boy, I really think that the market for match 3 games with gems of different hues of blue may be saturated. No, they all have different colors. Mine are different shades of blue. Niche market, probably not going to get featured on our front page. Thank you very much for your time. Come back to me when you have another game. Bye.
Yeah, that's painful. Paul.
Well, maybe I should have started with the porn. Or other way around. I do have a.
I say that every day.
Okay, maybe funny to the audience, but actually people who work on the VR industry. There's somewhat of a pet peeve of mine, but I wanted to get this out. So, and I'm sure, how many of you guys have been pitched with the VR title? Okay, and you guys all know what a headset funk is.
Yeah.
Oh God. And this is one particular time. These guys, former id developers, they're always like lugging around. They've been into our office a couple of times, lugging their Vive rig around. It's like, and their headset is so ripe all the time. And it's like, every time I get an email, it's like, hey, Paul, we'd like to come and show the new build. I'm like, no, please. Not today. And
moisturizing.
What's everybody know what a durian is?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So what does a durian have in common with a common headset?
You really hope it doesn't smell like that.
Most smell bad.
Yeah.
And the content can be great, right? and both content of VR headset and durian can make you vomit. And I still recall that day. It's like every time they bring their headset, it's like, oh my God, another durian. And the funny thing is, their game that they're developing, they're still developing, I think, it's actually pretty good. Well, one of these days, I do hope they, bring me a Gear VR build. But yeah. Ooh.
Wow. So I think that's an interesting kind of mix. We have Peter's Champagne Supernova. We have Mike's True Blue, and we have a VR Dorian fruit. I mean, how do we choose between that? So let's try and see what the audience think. If you think that the Champagne Supernova should win, please put your hand up. Okay. Those of you who think that the True Blue game should win, okay. And those of you who think that the VR Dorian should win, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So on that note, I think we knew where the winner was going to be already, and I want to thank the panelists for taking the time out to share those stories, and I hope we had a lot of fun doing that. But I think at the end of the day, what we're saying is, we've got to basically tell people things that they're going to emotionally connect with, and if we fail to do that, it's going to be told years later on a stage like this in front of a public audience, and humiliation will ensue. And we didn't even talk about cooties, which is another subject to talk to me about another time. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, audience. And we're going to step aside so that the guys can announce the big indie pitch.
Thank you,
Oscar. Oh, and the winner, of course. Thank you. Pleasure. So that's the end of the indie success track. Thank you very much for joining us, and again, thank you to the sponsors of the show. If you have any kind of further questions or thoughts for any of the speakers, I think some of them are still around, or come and grab me. Thank you, guys.